So I kind of wanted to briefly discuss the chemistry of the sunflower. And sunflowers are really near and dear to my heart because it was the sunflower, me studying the life cycles of sunflower, that helped me really heal from depression and grief from losing my father. I went through a battle of depression for 3 whole years um, after my father passed away. And it wasn't until I really started studying the life cycle of sunflowers that it really began to heal me internally and really help me battle the depression and grief that I was dealing with at the time. And so I feel like sunflowers are like the universal healing flower that can tap into any area of our lives. Um, but specifically, working through anger, depression, grief, sadness, um, I would say bringing in sunflowers into your space would definitely help in relieving some of the emotional sadness and grief and depression. Um, and I know there's certain flowers that we give to people whenever they lose a loved one. I know peace lilies are really good. Peace lilies are good at balancing, keeping your emotions and your energy and things balanced, and they also purify the air. So that I can understand why people would get peace lilies. I just don't understand why when someone passes away or is dealing with depression, why we don't give them sunflowers. It's like sunflowers are only good for if you're already happy, or you know what I mean? I don't know. But I just feel like we need to normalize giving people sunflowers when they're dealing with depression and grief, because just looking at the sunflower just brings joy. The yellow color is the color of happiness and joy, and so yeah, I think the sunflower is just an overall good flower in raising our vibrations when we're dealing with, mental health issues such as sadness and depression. Sunflowers, to me, I like to visualize them as flashlights in times of darkness. When you're in that deep, dark cave or tunnel and you're needing to sense the light at the end of the tunnel, or you just can't see, they have these big, beautiful rays. They look like the sun. And just imagine them bringing shining light and lighting your path while you're in your tunnel of depression or in your tunnel of grief, or just dealing with whatever it is that you're dealing with that's weighing you down and bringing darkness into your life. And knowing that, and it's good because when we're mindful that we're falling back into the depression, because sometimes I have the tendency to, it's been a while, it's been a long time, but I've put in a lot of work to make sure that I stay on top of not falling back down into a depressive state. So whenever you start feeling the signs of sadness creeping in, bringing in sunflowers every time you look at it will help you remember, okay, you know what, I need to focus on the light and not get drowned in the darkness. Allow the sunflowers to be the light in your life, to focus on the positive aspects, on how to deal with your emotions at the time, and what's being the trigger that's causing that. Because once you find the roots and the triggers, once you understand that these things trigger me into depression, or for me, the roots in my life for the depression was me dealing with the loss of my father and handling it the way I'm supposed to, and not really holding on to it and staying in that state. And so coming up with a plan on how to help alleviate whenever those signs of depression starts creeping in, finding healthy ways to cope, finding things that bring joy. So whenever you're dealing with depression, I know it's hard, but really taking the time to focus on the things that bring happiness instead of dwelling in the place of sadness and the things that's causing the depression, because what's going to happen is you're going to be caught in this web of darkness, and the web is sticky. The web of depression is sticky because you can get caught and you can stay there, you know. And so realizing that I have a light, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and this flashlight right here, this light, this sunflower is bringing light in the areas of my darkness, and I need to focus on this and not this over here. We're focusing on the light. And when it comes to sunflowers, they absorb full sun. They follow the sun in their beginning stages of growth. Whenever their seed is growing, anywhere the sun is in the sky, they follow that, and they take in all of the healing energy, that vitamin D, honey. Y'all might need to get y'all some vitamin D too. Let me stop. It takes in all of the sun's energy, and it encapsulates it in its petals, and it mimics the energy of the sun. It brings light. It exposes the lies that this depression and this sadness is telling you. There's a light that's shining a light on the lies, and it's up to us to really get in tune with where we need to get in tune with, and co-create with God, and have Him show you how to heal, how to cope with this. And then you'll begin to get downloads, and whenever you're really pressed to run a hill, then it's like whenever you're in that thought process of healing, and you're focusing on the light, and you're focusing on the steps to heal, and you're focusing not on the depression, oh, I'm depressed, oh, I'm this, but you're focusing on the solutions that the light is shining. It's shining a light on to the solutions. And once you get to that state where all you see are the solutions, then it's like that the barrier of darkness can fade away, can start breaking down. And then you can start hearing the voice of God, and you'll get subtle impressions throughout your day of things that will uplift you. You'll have realizations. You know what? Me doing this brings joy. So whenever I'm in my sadness, I'm going to do the opposite. Sunflowers, from my experience, sunflowers brought me through a journey. It's not like, oh, I'm going to bring sunflowers in today and magically I'm not depressed anymore. But you will begin to, your emotions will start to be like, every time I looked at the sunflower, it was like, oh, it's just so beautiful. And it makes you smile. So it's like just looking at them and visually having them in your presence will bring some form of an uplifted, your spirits being uplifted. But that doesn't mean that next day, oh, my depression's gone and that's it. But what happens is it takes you on a journey. So it takes you on different levels of the darkness that you're in. You're all the way down at rock bottom, right? No light inside, just all darkness. You bring in the sunflowers. You bring in the sun. And also, being out in the sun will actually bring healing. And if you can actually be out in a sunflower field, that is even better. But if you can't, and the only places you can find them is at the store and bringing them into your house, then that works as well. But what I noticed is that, I made it a habit to go out to this field that had all the sunflowers, and I would go and do my quiet time and my meditation and prayer time. And I would bring a notebook with me, and I would just write. I would pray and I would write, and everything, any subtle impressions that I felt, that I got, and any downloads, I would write that down. I would also, anything that inspired me while I was out there, anything that I felt, oh my gosh, me looking to the left and seeing this made me smile. I wrote that down. So then that way, when I need to smile, I'm going to go to this place, and then I'm going to sit in front of that, whatever it is that made me smile, so that I can focus on smiling today. Things that bring smiles, instead of focusing my attention on, I'm so sad, I feel lonely, I need my dad, I want to talk to my dad, you know? I would go to that field and I would go heal. So it was like my mind was so focused on climbing myself out of this deep, dark cave that I was stuck in. And the sunflowers brought clarity and light to my life. And I started grieving the cycles of the sunflower because it was like, oh, don't die. But then once I realized, you know what, this is part of the natural cycle of life, and it is my attachment that is not letting me move forward. And so I had to find a way to release and let go and transmute that loss into something of joy. And so it was like being around the sunflowers. It was like I was flooded with creative ideas and things that I actually enjoyed. And then I started diving into flowers more. And when I would play around with the flowers, or I would wear them, or I would make crafts, or, just playing around with different flowers and things brought joy to my life. And so I started, whenever I would start feeling that tinge of depression and sadness, and that grief coming back in, I didn't ignore it and I didn't push it down. I acknowledged it. I wrote down how I was feeling to release that. And then I immediately started delving into the things that made me happy, things that brought joy, watching movies that brought laughter, watching comedies, watching, you guys, just go on YouTube and YouTube people laughing or babies laughing. That really brought joy too, to watch a baby, new life. I lost a life, but there's so much new life coming in that can inspire you and bring new life in you. So I went and I would go watch babies laughing on YouTube, and that brought so much joy to my life. It brought me so much joy and contentment, and it made me forget about the sadness that I was feeling to watch these beautiful babies laughing. And so transmuting the energy of grief and depression with sunflowers are always good. And the sun is in alignment with the element of fire. And so whenever you're dealing with issues of depression, grief, sadness, deep dark cave, because I know, and I don't ever want to feel like that again. I know that feeling. And it is to tap into the element of fire. So that involves burning your thoughts, getting them out of your head. What you have to realize is writing is very therapeutic, and it's very helpful because it gets the things that are lost in your head that just sits there and stays. Depression, sadness, angry. Depression, sadness, angry. And if that's all that's in your head and you're not getting it out, you got to get it out. And so you can get that out by writing down everything that you're feeling. It doesn't even got to make sense. You can just say, depressed. I feel hate right now. I feel this. Whatever it is, whatever negative emotions that you're feeling, getting them out of your head immediately. Writing them down. And as you're writing all these angry thoughts and stuff that are coming to your mind, you're going to take that piece of paper and then you're going to light it on fire and burn it to ashes. So then that is a visualization that's programming your mind, saying, okay, we got these thoughts out of our head, and now we're not going to continue letting them flourish. We're going to transform them into something completely different. And that means transforming something of that was a solid substance, like this paper. Once we burn it up, it's not going to be this no more. It's going to be something totally different. It's going to be ashes. Ashes are great in fertilizing the earth and going back into the soil. So that way you can plant something new thoughts, right? So you burn that piece of paper up to ash. No more white space left on it. Everything must be burnt to ash, not recognizable. And then you're going to fill that space. Now you have an empty space in your mind because those thoughts are not in your head anymore. So you're going to use your voice and replacing those thoughts in your mind with something more positive. And if you like, well, sunflower season's about to be over, but getting a seed of a flower or something that is getting ready to be in season, and planting that into the soil. And that's something, whenever you plant that plant or that seed and you're nurturing its growth, you can use that plant as saying, okay, this is my healing plant. I'm going to speak life into this plant. I'm going to nurture it and grow. And every time that I have a negative thought, um, I'm going to nurture the plants and the seeds in my mind as well. So every time I water this flower, this sunflower, I'm just going to use it as an example. Every time I water this sunflower seed and I nurture it and I grow, and I'm speaking life into this sunflower so that it can grow, I'm also speaking life to myself so that I can grow and that I can heal. And then it has a way of, when you're nurturing this thing and you're seeing it begin to bloom, and then you notice the shift in your own life and you begin to bloom. It's like we're in a symbiotic flow of healing. And so, I'm getting chills. I just remember. It's just remembering that phase of my life. Um, and so, yeah, and I haven't had a chance to do the flower essences with the sunflower, but now have a connection with a local farm that grows sunflowers organically, and they're grown with love. And so I'm wanting to try and make my own flower essence, just so I can see what it does to me as I'm ingesting it. And then also bringing sunflower seeds and eating them is very nutritious. Nutritious. It has a lot of great nutrients that are good for you. And then it also has a fiber in it, and so it has a releasing effect in another area as well. So, and it keeps you regular. And so it's about letting go, right? Letting go of your thoughts and releasing them, and bringing in joy. And then also eliminating waste that has been inside of you. So whenever you're going on a cleanse, adding sunflower seeds into the mix will help keep you regular and consistent. A consistent flow of getting rid of toxic energy or toxic out of your system. And so you can see how the flower is beginning to flow, and you're flowing in the element of that sunflower, and then the properties that it brings into an environment, right? And so pairing sunflowers with eucalyptus as well, like it helps you to breathe in those moments where you're like, I need some fresh air to breathe. So I can go in deeper, and we can do some exercises if you guys are wanting to learn more on sunflower alchemy and transforming your sadness and your depression into joy. I can do a series on that, and a few exercises. But this is not an overnight thing. It's not something that you bring sunflowers in and you heal the next day. It's a process, and it's a process that you have to be willing to embark on and want to heal, because it's going to bring up areas that are uncomfortable in your life. But it's shining the lights on the roots. These roots are toxic. These are not healing roots. And so we need to uproot this. And so the uprooting part is what's the process that's it's gonna take some time to go through. But you'll begin to notice that each time you go through the cycle and uprooting and healing and focusing on your joys in life, that the transformation will come. It's like an evolution of transformation, if that makes sense. So, yeah. And so, you guys, I'm just very passionate about sunflowers. I love sunflowers so much. Sunflowers and purple thistles saved my life. And I can do something on the thistle another time, but since I had sunflowers in my space and we were just coming off of the yellow color therapy session, I thought, why not talk about a little bit of what sunflowers are good for. And And we can do some sunflower alchemy exercises if you guys are interested. Just comment below and let me know. And you guys, if you're dealing with any type of sadness or depression, or you know someone who is grieving the loss, bring some sunflowers into their lives. Bring some joy back into their lives. Take them out. You guys, take them to a sunflower field. Y'all sit and write and have fun, have a picnic, do whatever it is. Go outside in the sun. Bring the light back in during your time of darkness. And then write out some affirmations and some scriptures, y'all, so that you guys can start speaking life and light back over your life. Okay? And so I'm going to stop rambling because I don't want this video to be super long. But yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Mwah.